Sometimes this card is garbage. Sometimes it's even better than Solemn Judgment. So Blizzard is a quick play spell card that reads target one face-up spell your opponent controls. This turn negate the activated effects of that spell and all spells on the field with that same original name. If the targeted card would be sent to the opponent's graveyard this turn, it is added to their hand instead. You can only activate one Blizzard per turn. The first thing that we get to note is that this card is a quick play spell card, meaning that you can use it going second in order to stop your opponent's card that would stop you, such as Forbidden Chalice, Forbidden Droplet, Widow Anchor, Book of Moon, etc. One other extremely important thing to realize is that this card negates all spells with the same name, so if your opponent has multiple copies of, let's say, Widow Anchor, and you negate one of them with Blizzard, you're also taking care of the two other Widow Anchors. The one massive drawback with this card, of course, is that your opponent doesn't really lose anything in terms of card advantage. All you're really making your opponent lose is tempo, which is still very important in Yu-Gi-Oh! Though. One pretty cute trick that you could pull off with this card would be by combining it with Dimension Shifter or Macrocosmos or something like that, because if your opponent's cards would be banished instead of being sent to the graveyard, Blizzard would not return them back to the hand, as it is stated in the effect of the card. Even though this trick could be pretty nice in control decks, I still wouldn't recommend playing Blizzard in control decks for one very obvious reason. When deck building, you always have to expect cards to work in their worst case scenario in order to make sure you only play the most optimal cards. So even if you resolve a card like Blizzard against, let's say, Invoked, and you bounce back and negate your opponent's invocation, yeah, sure, your opponent can't fusion summon for one full turn, but if you can't really capitalize off of that free turn of grace that your opponent literally gave you on a silver platter, and you just pass doing nothing productive, then your opponent will just repeat the exact same thing next turn, and you're back to being under pressure. So Blizzard shines the brightest in aggressive decks, such as combo decks, going second decks, where you really lose to one specific kind of spell card, like let's say Dark Ruler no more, because if you go first, you set up your entire board, and you even have something like Solemn Judgment, and you get hit by Dark Ruler, your Solemn Judgment sure can negate Dark Ruler number 1, but if your opponent has Dark Ruler number 2, then you're kind of screwed. Whereas if you have something like Blizzard, you negate the Dark Ruler, your opponent cannot use cards with the name Dark Ruler for the rest of the turn. Well, he can do it, but it'll just get negated. So yeah, because of that, I only recommend playing Blizzard in really aggressive decks. Try avoiding it in control decks, even though it could be tempting to play it to negate your opponent's Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster. Maybe you could experiment with it. I'm not telling you, oh, don't consider it at all, but consider testing it correctly. So that's pretty much all I had to say for this card review. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.